Hi, I'm Judy Fish Cohen. I am married 56 years to my husband, Mel Cohen, and I've lived in Orlando 30 years now. I have a mother of 3 children and a grandmother of 4 children. I was born in June 14th, 1936 in Presque Isle, Maine, one of 2 children. Graduated in 1959. Earlier at Syracuse, I met my husband, Mel, on a blind date. We dated for a couple of years, and so he asked me to stay and we would get married, and we got married in Belmont, Mass in 1960. When Mel finished his residency, he was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, Martin Army Hospital. In a way, that's where my organizational life started, and they asked me to join Hadassah. Life just progressed, and it was a lot around the children's life and the Jewish life, and it was important to give them the best life we could and the best Jewish life we could. This was all very important to us. And then when we moved to Orlando in 1987, and then I heard they started having women's bat mitzvahs about that time. And I thought, this would be wonderful. My problem was I didn't know one letter of the Hebrew alphabet. I didn't grow up with formal Jewish education, but I started taking a Hebrew beginning course for 3 months. But this just brought, to me, it brought so much to my life that I'll always be thankful. Then I was asked if I would be on a national committee that covered 11 states in the Southeast. But the bottom line is I do what I do because I love what I do. I love what it stands for. I love what causes me. Hadassah, synagogue. These are the important part of my life, and I love it. Well, my parents were big influenced me. That you do for people, you give to people, you support organizations. That was just a part of the way I grew up. One of the exciting things I had, experiences I had with Hadassah was when I was asked to go with 45 other people from around the country that were Hadassah members and lobby our U.S. senators and Congress people on women's health care, women's insurance, and Israel. And that was a highlight. It was really a wonderful experience, and to go and to be one of the 50 that was selected. Well, I like to walk, not every day, but about every other day. Swim in the summer. I knit for the pavilion, as I said. I read. I love to read. One time, one of my daughters said, "Mom, you talk too much." I said, "Well, that's the way I am." Well, I hope my legacy to my children and grandchildren would be to love your family, that all people are good, and to treat people fairly. I grew up with a good heritage, and I just hope I pass that on to my children and grandchildren.
My name is Mel Cohen, spelled with a K. Born in Philadelphia, but I was a hellraiser as a kid, got in all kinds of trouble, my mother told me. At 4 years old, I had a cop's uniform for Halloween, and I put it on and went out in the middle of the street and was directing traffic at 4 years old. So the cops picked me up and brought me home. Needless to say, I didn't do that anymore. I had a varied career. Spent some time in the Navy. I did traffic engineering initially. During the operation, I worked with a firm called Nederlander. James Nederlander was well known in the entertainment field. And I got to meet such people as Liberace, and I have a photograph of me with Liberace. And I helped develop a program where these artists would put on special programs for disadvantaged children and for senior citizens. One day I was walking down the hallway and I happened to look into an office and I saw a young lady there with her leg up on a cushion. 4 months later, we were married. Betty my wife was a trooper, because as an engineer, I moved around 7 times, and each time she adapted and accompanied me and was a strong support. And it's lasted 62 years. They said it wouldn't last, but it did. What keeps me young is activity. I'm always on the go, I'm always working. I play golf, as I indicated. I work out at the health club. I also love to work outdoors. I do much of my own weeding and gardening, and we fortunately were able to have one daughter who was the joy of our lives, and she gave us 2 wonderful grandchildren. And as I look back, I would say that's the most important thing that we've done. All my friends and associates know they can call on me and count on me. I'm transparent. I'm an open book. My mother used to say, what's in my lung is on my tongue. Well, I'd like my grandchildren to, when they look at my career, to see that it was based on honesty and integrity. That's what I'd like them to take from Betty and me, to see that we work together to make our marriage successful. I just feel that we're put on this earth for a reason. What's my legacy? Well, I would have to say it's my family.
My name is Edie Fenster. I don't feel 87 when I'm sitting down. I was born in New York, in the Bronx, and we lived there for quite a while. And I was always a good student. In my high school yearbook, I was voted most likely to succeed, and I was the class valedictorian, which kind of gave me a boost that I could do anything once I set my mind to it. I loved being with people. I loved the idea of going to work. In spite of the fact that I, was a very young child when I lost my mother, I was still able to continue on with my life and make the best of it. Eventually, I was introduced to my husband. He was my soulmate, and we had a very good life, and we brought into this world 2 wonderful sons. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby carriage. Well, that's what happened. And then before you know it, we were transferred here to Orlando. We really made a life here and loved it, and still do. Immediately we joined Temple Israel because we wanted to be attached to Jewish life and Yiddishkeit. My husband, even at the age of 50, became an adult bar mitzvah, and I followed suit a few years later. I was an adult bat mitzvah. The synagogue is very important to me. It's important that I give back what has been given to me. I was invited to join the Temple Israel choir, which I did for 50 years. Even though I was left a young widow, I still had to go on with my life, and the fact that I was working was probably the biggest plus, because it gave me a purpose in my life, and that really got me going. I love my work. I still do. It's what keeps the juices flowing, to be doing something and to feel that you're needed and you have a purpose. I like music. I like going to concerts. I like theater. I like to read. I like to learn. I have one addiction: crossword puzzles. But it keeps the brain cells moving. So I think that's a good idea. I've been the recipient of so much good that I feel that I've been very blessed. You can't go through life just being a taker. You have to give back, to give people the flowers now, because when you're gone, you can't smell them and you can't see them. So that's what I would pass on to my children or anybody that would ask. My 3 favorite memories are the day that my husband and I were married, and the days that my 2 little boys came into this world. Those were, I guess, the happiest days of my life.
I'm Sheldon Brook. I had a very happy childhood. I went to college on a football scholarship. I was asked to join a fraternity. There were no Jews in this fraternity. And I said, are you sure you want me? You know, I'm a Jew. And they said, Sheldon, we want you. I was proud of the fact that I joined them. Not the best decision. The dean, after my first year, the dean thought I'd do better in Korea. He was right. 3 months after I left my first college experience, I was drafted. I left the shore in 1958 when I went away to school with my wife. We were married for 30 years. I worked professionally as a professional engineer for 35 years. I had a professional career. Number one thing that I'm most proud of is graduating from the University of Alabama over 55 years ago. My God, is that right? Over 55 years ago. I'm class of 1960. I'm most proud of that, and the second thing I'm most proud of is that my daughters both graduated, and they're very happy in their marriages and with their families, and that's my second greatest achievement. I do a lot of programs there at the J, and also I'm very active in the Elks Lodge. As a matter of fact, last month I was Elk of the Month. Yeah, that was a very nice honor. When I was 60 years old, I heard about a woman who was seeking gentlemen to go on cruise ships to serve as entertainers or dance partners for the unescorted ladies that might be on a cruise that like to dance. I retired in around April 1st of 96, and on April 27th I boarded and took my first big cruise to Los Angeles. I tell people I've danced from Alaska to Antarctica to Tahiti and back. I always try to look on the bright side of things. And, I'm a pinochle player, and I like to hold my cards close to my chest. Anyway, it's been a great life. That's all I can tell you. Enjoy it. If you don't get a kick out of it, look for something that makes you happy. Be happy. That's my advice. live a happy life. It's the only way to go.
Well, I think that introduction for an 89-year-old is really an achievement in itself. So I'm Helen Tettenbaum. I was Helen Bloomberg Tettenbaum. Well, first of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Savannah, where I was born. I was born female Bloomberg child on the birth certificate, January 23rd, 1928. And anything that Johnny Mercer wrote, I do like. And he wrote a song that I consider my theme song. The song that he wrote that I liked so well, that describes what you should do in life, is accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. My sister had just moved with her family to Orlando, and he said, you know, there is one fellow that I'd like you to meet. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to fix you up a blind date. So when he told me his name, Oscar Tettenbaum, a blind date, I didn't want to go. I thought, oh, what a nerd that has to be. And to my surprise, was I ever wrong? He was anything but. So Oscar and I did become a twosome, and that's how I met my husband. And my husband was the first bar mitzvah boy of Ohef Shalom with a full rabbi. So I came with his roots firmly established, and I immediately got involved with Sisterhood of Ohef Shalom. I also am quite proud of the fact that my husband and I were charter members of Temple Israel, and I was very happy to be asked to make the first art curtain for Temple Israel, which is on my walls now. Milestone children, of course. First child, Leslie. Son was born in '56. His name is Brad. And then I fell into another business, and Helen Bow Manufacturing was born. And that's the business that built my dream home. I was happy, as we say in the South, as happy as a jaybird in the cornfield. What wasn't fun was that my husband developed Alzheimer's. I became a facilitator for the Alzheimer's Association, and I think that it's important to think positive. What I'd like to pass on to my children and to have people say about me: respect our differences, always smile, always have a sunny attitude if you can. No one likes a sourpuss.
I'm Dick Applebaum, and I have no what else next to say. Ask me a question, I'll give you great answers. Born in the Bronx, really enjoyed scouting, went on into Boy Scouts, which really was a great love of mine. When I graduated, I went into the advertising business. So I ran into one of the vice presidents of Tupperware. I got interviewed on a packing crate behind the Club Aluminum booth and I got the job. So in February of '62, my old beat-up DeSoto convertible and my Collie-Dor King and all my worldly possessions, we drove down to Florida. And just before I left, I took a gal that I knew out. And some blonde was visiting her. Some cute blonde was visiting her, and they introduced me to her. And that was the beginning of my life with Dottie. And we married in the March of '63, and it'll be 54 years this March. So, besides that, along came Allison, and then came the twins, Jill and Julie, and life has been good. After I left the company, a lot of friends in the industry, I started my own business called the Dick Applebaum Company. Then John Rosenberg said to me, "What do you know about the JCC?" I said, "Not much. You wanted to help?" I said, "Sure." And that was the beginning of my love for the J. I sit on the Pavilion board, I sit on the Kinneret board, I sit on the JFS board, I sit on the homeowners board around here. Life is good. I hope people will think of me as a guy that will go to the end to get the job done. If you want to get it done, ask Dick, he'll do it. It's always been my opinion, something I've shared with my kids and people, is if you have the right attitude, if you think well of things all the way through, you'll succeed. Learn everybody's name, call them by their name, and say thank you for the jobs that they do. People will not forget you, and you'll be happy. Be honest in what you say and say what you do. Life is great. Enjoy it. Live happy. Do what you can for other people. Always try to be the good guy. To be a good scout.
My name is Sonia Mandel, also known as Sunny. That's it. Well, I was born in Baltimore, moved to Miami in 1941. I graduated from Miami High, went to the University of Illinois for a year, came home for the summer, met Lester. That was the end of my studies, and actually Lester and I were engaged in 3 months and married in 6 months, and that was 70 years ago. Love at first sight. I think it was love at first sight for him, because 2 minutes after he met me, he asked me to go out on Saturday night. So I do believe that he felt the same way I did. He's my soulmate. And he's the one. Yeah, 70 years, how about that? We have 3 children, 3 boys, and then we had a girl. And now we have 10 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren. Oh, they're wonderful. My children and my grandchildren are all wonderful. All my children are wonderful. I just want them all to be happy, and I think that they are. So that makes me very happy. And I have my little great-grandchildren. I have 4 little boys, and the youngest little girl she's not quite a year, she's less than a year, and I'm going to Colorado next week because they're naming her after me. The greatest thrill of my life. And you know, you can do that when you're 90 in the Jewish religion. Well, my favorite days of the week are when I play mahjong and when I play bridge, although that's not too favorite. I'm a pretty lousy player, but that's what I do. And at first I was president, I think, of the men's club. And then I became president of the Federation. And just did a lot of things then. Every honor that I ever received was a thrill. My best memories are my children and my grandchildren, and now my great-grandchildren. They're the loves of my life, and they give me all the pleasure that I need in this world. The book is called Sonia, My Labor of Love. I wrote it for my grandchildren so that they would know I was young once. I dedicate this book to your grandpa. My life has been a fairy tale. You are my Prince Charming. I could go on and on because I love you so, but I'll stop here, for I'm sure you know. I, Sonia Margolis Mandel, am your wife. And you, Lester Norman Mandel, are my life. We loved each other, and we had a loving family, and I think that's my legacy.
My name is Phyllis Albertson Englander. I came down here from Philadelphia, and I was introduced to Paul Albertson, and it was a speedy romance. And I've been in Orlando for 58 years, and the first activity that I got involved with was Temple Israel, of which I've been very involved for 50 years. We have 3 children, Brian, Barbara, and Bruce. I volunteered for Women Playing for Time, breast cancer tournament. I was involved with the Mental Health Association, with Seminole County Healthy Start Coalition, with Federation, with the JCC, and was president of Temple Israel twice. I have 7 grandchildren, and I love life. I love the journey. I feel that being involved in the community is a wonderful thing. I am a golfer, I am a bridge player, I am a tennis player, I adore the theater, I love music, and especially I love my family and friends. And I suppose you could call me a survivor. I lost my husband in 1974, Paul Albertson, and I had 3 children, and I was a young widow. 11, 13, and 15 when their dad passed away. And if you think that was easy, no. And you never expect it when you're young. And 2 years later, I married Ed Englander and was married to Ed for 37 years. And he passed away 5 years ago. So I suppose what you learn in life is roll with the punches and make it the best that you can make it. I was blessed twice. And I visit my grandchildren, my children, because they are the love of my life, and that's what means the most to me. And it's hard to believe that I'm 80. I still think I'm 50. And I have enjoyed every moment that I could. You take the good with the bad, and you just roll with the punches. Welcome to the club of age. My kids know I'm there for them forever, no matter what. Rain or shine, their mommy is there. And I was very blessed because when I married Ed, he had 2 lovely sons. And so Ed and I raised 5 children together. I'm proud of the family I've raised. That's the most important thing. I'm proud of that, more than anything. My family is my heart. I look like I'm tough. I look tough, but I'm not. I'm just strong. My oldest granddaughter asked me when she was 15, "Mama, did you meet your goals in life?" And I said, "I'm leaving you on the earth. And that's all I care about,
because I'm leaving you, children, on the earth, with me in your hearts. If you're not smart enough to enjoy what's happening, you're foolish.